Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, my friends. This is Angy Stewart from INNERLIGHT, and we are live on Kardec Radio. Today is Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So this program happens once a month, and today is a very special day because we are actually finalizing this beautiful book, The Gospel According to Spiritism. So tonight, will be the last day we do it. Look how fake it is. We have been doing it for a long time. I'm not going to say for months, but for years. For years, we have been studying this book for a couple years. And it was a blessing. It's a book that we should continuously study. So don't think if you just read, oh, that's it. I read, that's it. No, this is a book for life. Every time you read, you understand a little bit deeper, or you have a different vision of what you actually had studied or understood previously. That's why in most of the Spiritist centers, this is a constant study, a constant group study. But when we finish this book, we are going to start Heaven and Hell. It's another wonderful book. And this is a book that very few people study it. Exactly. Most of the Spiritist centers, they give study groups on the Gospel, on the Spirit's book. Some give the Genesis, the ones that like a lot of scientific study. But Heaven and Hell is a book that few people actually study. So it will be really, really good. And I hope more people can participate and can listen to our talks and enjoy it. So tonight, I just want to remind all of you that if you are in Miami, our Spiritist Center is open, it's working. Thank God the pandemic time is getting so much better. You know, now it's really like a flu, at least for the people that are vaccinated. So it's much, much easier. And we are coming back to normal life. So this is a blessing. Thank you so much. So our center is open on Tuesdays from 7 to 8. And it's on the 1st, on the 3rd, and on the 5th Tuesday of the month. And if you're in Miami, please come here. We are in the area of Coconut Grove. It will be a pleasure to be able to meet you. So, as usual, I hope you have your water bottle, because this will be our prayers will be like we are going to receive the medication for our week. And it's always good to have some good medication. It doesn't matter if you are 100%. It's always good to have that boost of energy. I would like to invite all of you to close your eyes. We are online. Let's relax and do our initial prayer. Okay? God, our Mother and Father, thank you so much for bringing us together here tonight to focus on the studies, to understand a little bit deeper of the Lord's Prayer, to dedicate this time to understand the beautiful message that Jesus gave to us in this simple prayer. Knowing that the majority of people say it mechanically, but today we would like to ask for your inspiration, your guidance, to help all of us that we will be talking, and our friends that will be listening to this talk later on, so they can appreciate and deeply understand it. Thank you so much. So be it. Very good. So I will bring my friends. So let's have Marcia. Hello, Marcia. How are you?
I am so well. Thank you for allowing me to be here, Angy. Hi, everyone.
Marcia, you're always welcome. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. This is really awesome. So we have also Daniel. Hello, Daniel. How are
Hello,
you?
everyone. Hello, Angie. Hello, Marcia. So good to see
Hi.
you. Thank you so much for having me. Oh,
I
it's a
love Daniel.
blast.
Daniel is like, yeah!
But it is an accomplishment, right? To be finishing the last chapter of the gospel. So it's so cool to be here. Thank you.
Exactly, exactly. It is a blessing. My goodness, we have been studying this book for such a long time. I said 2 years, but I'm not even sure if it's only 2 years because I have been studying it on Kardec Radio for a long time. But it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you both for being here with us. So Marcia and Daniel, they already participated with us, and I love the energy, so I like to invite them together because it's like woo. So my friends, if you're arriving here right now, we are going to be studying this book, The Gospel According to Spiritism. Tonight is lesson chapter 28. So this chapter 28 is the last chapter of this very thick book. It's a book that is really a blessing in our lives. So we all should study it, not just read, but study it. And the last chapter is the chapter that Kardec, the title actually is a collection of Spiritist prayers. And so there are many examples. We have to understand that in Spiritism, you say prayers from your heart. We don't memorize prayers. We say from our heart. But Kardec, he put it here as an example. So if we want to pray for a sick child, if we want to pray for a person that is discarnated, there are so many examples. So it's really good. So you go there, you read, you try to understand what Kardec is explaining, and then you see the sample of prayer. It will help so much all of you to boost this inner confidence that you can build your own later on. But tonight, specifically, we are going to be studying the Lord's Prayer, this beautiful prayer, the only prayer that Jesus gave to us, he taught us. And most of the time, we say it in a kind of memorized way. Myself, I have to say that because I learned this as a child, and my mother taught me, and I remember that I had such a hard time to memorize, and I have to say in a certain speed, although I would forget. And this is not the good way because we kind of say things not really understanding. It's almost like when you sing a song, but you never thought about what the song is actually saying. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We are going to dissect sentence by sentence to understand the deep meaning of this beautiful prayer. So just to start, I'm just going to read a little bit of the preamble. That's how I always do. But then we are going to jump into every sentence, and we are going to comment little by little. So the preamble, it starts like this. Our spirits have always said, the form means nothing. The thought is everything. Pray according to your convictions and in the manner that touches you the most. A good thought is worth more than many words that are foreign to your heart. So beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
And that's how we have to do. Pray from the heart. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
So,
Angie, can I say something though?
were you like me also? Were you Catholics? Did you memorize prayer? How was your upbringing?
Yeah, I did go to Catholic school all the way to just before going to college, and had catechism and, of course, learning prayers. My family is deeply Catholic still to date. So prayer is an abundant resource to my entire family in Brazil. But what I wanted to say here to all of you who is in this broadcast, that while Spiritism, through the words that we find here in the in chapter 28 is telling us is bringing us awareness of the through the incredible power of prayer, and the power comes from that feelings, right, Angie, that connection to God. It is important to also be aware that it doesn't matter what type of religion you form or what words you say, so long they come from your heart. And so I think it's very important, Angie, to me, to know that as I moved from that Catholic background into Spiritism, and that rational faith that we study, that we gain awareness, deep awareness of, this prayer, even before I studied in depth, which we're going to do this together, is so impactful that no matter if you're saying it in Portuguese, if it's your native tongue, or English, or even French, or other languages, it deeply touches most people. So I'm really thrilled to be here for us to do this study together.
Mhm.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
And Daniel, how was it for you?
Yeah, well, for me, I think it was a very similar story. Catholic, until university, also for the school, and also learned the prayer as a mechanic, a way of, I would say the frequency also was important, and not much the content. So I think now it's very important that I listen to not only you, but also what the gospel is saying, and we can relearn, right,
Yes.
again, to think about carefully. So in the meaning of the word. So it's so good that Kardec could bring us in the last chapter of the gospel this, so all of us could reflect, right? Because he brings beautiful ideas, and brings beautiful
Yes.
comments, but it's also to each of us through the study to also absorb and intake something, so we can try to communicate in the same way that as Jesus did, right? So I think Jesus not only was communicating and teaching us how to communicate, but he was also, giving this lesson to us, so we could mimic what he was doing and try to do as ourselves.
Mhm.
Not saying that it's not important that we follow the Lord's Prayer. It is important, but it's also important to understand how is the form of it, so we can communicate with our own words with God too.
Yes, exactly. So we are all aligned. We are all there understanding it. So let's jump into the prayer.
Yes.
So when we go to, if you guys have the book, when page 492, we have the general prayers, the Lord prayers. That's the one we are gonna study, and it talks about the introduction. So the introduction, basically, this is the only prayer Jesus taught us. So
Mhm.
the disciples asked him, Lord, help us to pray. Teach us how to do it. And that's what he said. And then he starts. So we are going to do word by word. So he starts like this: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So first of all, we almost have to translate, because
Yes.
all the English is a little difficult. So basically it is, our Father who are in heaven, hallowed will be, holy is his name. So basically is that. It can be translated in a different ways. But
Mhm.
what you guys think about this first sentence? What Jesus is trying to teach us with this first sentence?
Well, yeah, what caught my attention, and also I want also to disclose and to say that many of my comments on these will not come directly from my understanding or my observation, but also from the book that I read, which is the book called Pai Nosso, Our Father, from Chico Xavier, by the spirit Mei Mei, that was brought to us in 1952. So, and one thing that Mei Mei brought in her comments on these, and I totally agree, and I think it's very important to us to see this as well, is that above all, God is our Father, right? So it creates that all creatures, all creatures, animals, plants, and us, and humans, are part of one single family. So it's beautiful how Jesus can concise and show us by the very beginning that we are one single family. So Jesus showed us that the prayer also is an immediate way to commune with our Heavenly Father.
Beautiful.
Yes, indeed. And I just want to tell everyone that for me, it's very interesting that first phrase, right? Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. To me, when I started to look at it from a intellectual, right, rational, breaking apart of the words, I first felt a sense of separation. Father, who's there, and we are here, and it's the opposite, right? It's really bringing the sense that our Father, like you said, Daniel, our Father, it's our Father, and our Father who is in heaven, but he who is our creator is one with all, and we're part of that. And I think that is just absolutely beautiful sense, so concise, right? But it brings the sense that there's not a like you said, a blade of grass that is not accounted for in the love from God toward us. It's quite beautiful.
Yes.
And it's almost like a, oh, sorry, Daniel, go ahead.
No. I would continue. I would just add something, but let's add together. Let's put in the same mix. So I will continue, but if you want, go first.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
So
No, but
what I was gonna say is that just complimenting what Marcia just said, like imagine we have a child, and when the child does something good, we get so excited. So the happiness of the child is the happiness of the mother and father. So imagine God in a big picture with these billions of kids, but as Emmanuel mentioned, that he knows exactly how many threads of hair we have in our heads, meaning he knows deeply each single one of us. So this is like this is a beautiful. We know it's our Father, and we are happy, and he gets happy. So we evolve together, as you were also mentioning, Daniel. So go ahead.
No, yeah, it's so good to see, to have this connection, feel this connection with Jesus and ourselves, right? It's so good as we start our Father prayer together. And I was just commenting about the second part, the hallowed be thy name. And from my research, and I was seeing that revered is another translation from the original Greek word for hallowed. So to hallow God's name can also be understood as to revere, to honor God's name. So meaning that live our lives to honor God, helping each creature.
Correct.
Yeah. And so to hallow can also be to sanctify. So let us sanctify relationships. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what comes to mind also is the fact that when you say, right, this is our world, our very material world. If I call you Daniel, right, or Angie, or in my case, Marcia, there is also the sense of identity. This is how I identify myself. So whenever we talk about your name is so and so, but here we're talking about the identity is one of, like you said, Daniel, to be revered, to be honored, to be aware of that the sacredness of God and its identity.
And this makes the connection with the commandment of not saying the word, the name of God in vain, right?
Yes.
So it's very important to to align all this. So yes, so and we can also expand this concept of the sanctification of the name. So we can also sanctify relationships by spreading hope and charity, and therefore we will be sanctifying God's name, right? If we act in this way. So and another thing that comes in mind is we could think about it is, as God is infinite good with us, so we can also be good to all creatures, right?
Good. So continue. The second sentence is thy kingdom come, meaning his kingdom come, the kingdom of God comes. So what is this sentence?
Well, the gospel, right, for anyone who has read before or who's reading right now, the gospel talks about as thy kingdom, right? The kingdom of heaven comes to us, so it becomes attainable to us. How? And the how, not the what, but the how is really through all of the laws, the divine laws that is given to us so that we can understand how to enter that kingdom, which is our pathway to happiness. So again, the elegance, 3 words, thy kingdom come.
Yeah.
It gives that sense of it's just so easy. But go ahead, Daniel. What
No,
do you think?
yeah, exactly. And as you're saying that, I was thinking about the connection with our consciousness, right? That as we have the kingdom of God already written within our conscience, so it makes total connection with what you just said. And I can also increment and to say that we are the ones who will bring the celestial kingdom to ourselves on the earth, right? So it's not that God will do it, it's thy kingdom come, meaning we are the ones who bring this kingdom to us. And how? Because the kingdom begins in our hearts, right? So we must help, we must serve, and have faith and perseverance, right? So with this we can establish, so we can ensure as co-creators that the kingdom of God will be on earth.
And if you think about it, Angie and Daniel, if you think it's that continuum, right? Let's think about in the categories of the worlds, right? And we're in the second category, from the primitive now to trials and expiations. And I know we're going to talk a little bit. There's a little touched upon on tests and atonement within the Lord's Prayer. But as we move from the primitive world into the trials of expiation, then to regenerative world, so on and so forth, it's very important to understand that there is such a sense of awareness of that kingdom, that God that is inside of us, the breath of God with the creation of a spirit, right? And we have that within us. We carry that within us, even throughout very, let's say, very primitive, very immature spirits throughout our evolution toward a being of light, an angelical creature. As we keep moving, it's all there. But as we evolve, we have more and more access to that kingdom of heaven. And one of the things that in the gospel, it talks as well here, as it mentions the laws, it also mentions that unlike the not individuated spirit, right? Unlike animals, for example, we humans, we have access to our free will, our freedom. And that is what you're saying, Daniel. Because we do, it is up to us to access that kingdom of heaven that is already inside of us fully. It's up to us.
Exactly. But this is the piece, because when we talk about this right now, people say, but where is this kingdom of heaven? People are killing each other, people are starving, there is a war. But we have to understand that we all have this seed of love inside us, sometimes very deep inside, but it is there. And the
Yes.
one day, the same way our planet is evolving, we are all evolving. We have to evolve together. That's why we talk so much about planet of regeneration. The planet is evolving. If there are spirits that are incarnated and are not in this move of evolution, when they discarnate, we are not going to be allowed to come back here. Because again, as a good mother and father, God wants the kingdom of heaven, of his kingdom here, to be really of a happiness, of a respect, of love
Correct.
for each other. Things that we already do for our very close family, doing in a big aspect to everyone.
There's
So,
one another term before move on. Um, when you talk about that spark, right? The seed that's inside of us, and how and I forgot how you said, Angie, so forgive me. But
too deep, too deep.
yeah, but what it came to me was the fact that it's a question of awareness, right? The awareness of how evolved or less aware or more aware of that God, the divinity within inside of us, that it's important for us to understand. So those laws who are written in our conscience, God, the kingdom of heaven, if you use the language of the Lord's Prayer, inside of us. And the question then is that deep awareness of how do we live, right? Within the freedom choice, how do we live those laws so that we become closer to God?
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful.
So let's go. My goodness, it's 9:30. Time flies. So the next sentence is give us this day our daily bread. So is Jesus talking about food? What type of food is that?
Well, I have some thoughts.
Then you was thinking about the bread and butter warm in the
Yes,
oven.
yes, definitely. I just discovered I'm allergic to trigo,
Gluten.
to gluten.
The
Not
gluten.
gluten, but the trigo
Wheat.
itself. How it's
Wheat.
wheat,
Yeah.
Wheat?
wheat itself.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, so yeah, but
Oh, no bread for you.
no red for me. So but to as we analyzing the expression, give us this day our daily bread, and we know that in our daily lives, right, despite all that God give us, right, so it's the soil, rain, the heat, even the millions of lives it costs to earth to sustain us, right, all this chain of living creatures that are there for us, still to supply ourselves with food we need, to prepare, right, we need to have our own diligence, our obligations, right, to feed ourselves. So it's in the connection of what we also prepare the sowing of the now for those who will come in the future, like those who prepared before us. So it's this comparison that when Jesus says, "Give us this day our daily bread," also is a reminder to us. So, okay, are we preparing? Are we sowing the now for not only for us but the future too? Are we working for our daily bread, right? So, and also when I'm talking only here in the material part of the bread, but when we think about the spiritual part, right? So peace, hope, faith, moral value, right? This is also bread. All this is bread. So then we make the connection that with our thoughts and actions, we operate on others, correct? As we do our things and we think and then we do, we operate on others. And that's why also others also feed us with their attitudes. So it is important to see this these connections, right, with what we do in a spiritual bread that we also are, operating to others, and that they feed ourselves too. Everyone feed ourselves too with their attitudes. And to end, I think it's also important to thinking about again both the material and the spiritual bread, that we can give the leftovers to our neighbors, right? So
Yes.
So therefore operate in the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God.
Yeah, I think Daniel, he speaks of that material and spiritual. So it will be very interesting for us as we are in a highly religious discussion here to not even talk about the material, but that's not the case, right? So we cannot forget that both spiritual and material. But like you said, it's important for us to that as we cannot forget that while we are not of this world, but we are living in this world, we have the duality of our spiritual investments, if you will, and our material investments. But the work and the progress and all the challenges that we go through as we evolve and we attain, right? We attain our intellectual, our moral, but also, say, your artistic maturity as we go through in order to feed, to invest in ourselves in those two angles, the material and the spiritual. So I think it's quite interesting for us to leave here with the words that you find in the gospel. What are the words that they say? It's courage, right? Strength, prudence, also moderation. And if you apply those things to every aspect of our lives, you will be not falling for so much that will take us down, right? Those are our true nourishments for us to evolve on both dimensions.
Yes, yes, beautiful. Because we really need to fulfill our spiritual life, but taking care of our physical bodies too. And when we talk about taking care of the physical bodies, yes, it's feeding ourselves, but also avoiding things that can destroy our body. Because sometimes we don't even think about it,
Like wheat.
people.
Joking.
No bread for you. So many people that talk that do so many excesses that are destroying
Yes.
their physical existence, and also
Yeah.
we have consequences. So this is great analysis we did. So the number 5 is forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. Forgive our offenses as we forgive those who offend us. So before you get started, this is already assuming we are doing it, because forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. And I think that this is one of the most difficult things for most of the people to do. I even met the spiritists. We are spiritists. We know it. It's not that we think. No, we know forgiveness is something extremely important. But many times I see when it happened to someone, oh no, but in this case, I can't forgive. I'm like, my goodness, we study so much, and when the moment of a test arrives, we can't put it in practice. So it's hard.
Yeah, but Angie, this is the part where I alluded earlier, where it references where we are, right? We live in the world of trials and expiations, right? And in the process of quote unquote purifying ourselves to atone for everything that we have committed out of intentional or unintentional, through our journey, through our own evolution or progress, we need to go through the trials and expiations. And this is out of mercy of God. It's a complete aspect of the sense of justice, right? Following the law of cause and effect, but also the sense of all of us who will go through, as Angie said, those tests. It is part of our achievement of our spiritual growth to be able to go beyond, right? To pass those tests and demonstrate. The other component of that atonement is actually understand that for every process of atonement there is a awareness of what we committed. So in this line, when he says, "Forgive us as our trespasses as we forgive them," right? Inherent in this line is the fact that we fail and that we need to be forgiven, but we also need to forgive. And forgiveness is the first step, as we know, in the atonement process. We must be aware of the falling, right? To failing toward ourselves or other people. And then in the process, it comes now what? We repent, we expiate, and then we repair to be able to remove any residue of the content of the process of learning that is inside of us. So again, very elegant, very simple, but so dense in that one line.
Yeah, and I could even say trickier because
Yeah.
really, as I think about it, I remember this part of the prayer was like me asking for forgiveness.
Yes.
That was how I understood in the past. But then Kardec also in the Gospel and as with Spiritism, we can analyze better the prayer itself. We see that this is more a commitment to forgive those who offend us, because if we don't do that, we are like really bad, right? Because we are asking for God to do the same with us. So if we do this mechanically, it's like, God, okay, all of you're saying to do as you do because you're not paying attention to what you're saying. So it's like simple but very, as you said, dense in the how much information there is in this small phrase. And I will also expand again and say that with the lack of forgiveness from us, also there is the lack of patience or lack of love, and this will make us acquire bitterness, disturbance, and illnesses. So we must always forgive as much as we can for the best for us, right? So when also another thing is when we are provoked, so there's some situations that, or maybe we are not ready to automatically forgive, as Angie was commenting, because of the evolution, where we have to try. But if there is this case, we can always make use of the silence that is the kindness of forgiveness. That is the silence that and waits for time, right? So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, no, it is true. But we have also to remember that the more we know, the more will be requested. So a person doesn't know anything of that will be asked less than us, that we already know the obligation of forgiving. Even if it's so difficult, when we put ourselves in the shoes of other people and we think, if this had happened to me, how I would act. It's very difficult. It's very hard. Certain situations are very hard. So the first thing we have to do really is to forgive ourselves if we can't forgive it yet. But we have to know that we have to do it one day. So we have to, day by day, meditate and try to reach to a point that, okay, I will try my best. I can't think about this right now, but I will try. So this is it's very challenging, as you both explained. So number 6, do not let us fall into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. That's also very beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. these lead us not into temptation. So sometimes it's the interpretation of this is also strange, right? So because it's in the Portuguese version is different. So it's not that God is going to lead us, into a temptation, but because it is indisputable that the divine providence will constantly help us getting rid of evil. However, the divine providence also help us to finding in us the values of goodwill. So seeking the good without ceasing, right? That's our motto, right? So of course we must wait for God to give us as much of his love, but let us not forget that it's necessary to give something of our effort, right? So temptation seeks us out according to mainly to our intimate feelings. So when we give into some unworthy, temptation, fascination in our thoughts, it's because our will remains weak in the face of our inferior desires. So the forces that tempt us, they in fact they correspond to our own impulses. So succumbing to temptation through the selfishness, and we will continue to be entrusted to what, as Marcia was saying, to a planet of struggle and trials, right? So, and this will little by little teach us humility, respect, diligence, meekness, right? So in general, we need to watch both our brain and our heart, so in order to select the suggestions that visit our thought, right?
And if we think in terms, if you break down even further, because I think you're talking about the ambiguity of the first part of this phrase, right? Lead us not into temptation. Why would God lead us not into temptation? But then if you read it further, closer, you have to understand what is temptation. What tempts us? And the temptation is to perceive ourselves as the only source of happiness is from a material plane, therefore very sensorial in nature, right? So by lead us not into temptation, we understand that it's please let us not be blind by our own material aspects, our material nature, as that can indeed blindfold us from all that we are, the other amazing aspects of what we are as spirits, as immortal spirits, right? But then the second part, which is so wake us up from not be beyond this material life, this incarnation. But when we talk about but delivers from all evil, and I like to say this because it's very important to me to understand that it's not the language of evil, this evil Satan, the devil, right? It is really the evil as the capacity that exists in you and me and all of us of hurting, of causing pain, right? So prepare us in that awareness of a spiritual evolution, that while we all are capable of causing pain to ourselves and to the other, that we become quite aware and we're no longer be instruments of those pains. Does this make sense to either of you?
Yes, definitely. It's good to break so we can actually understand a little bit of each portion, so it makes a full sense. And it's good also for us to analyze that the temptation that's for me might not be for Marcia, might not be for Daniel, because we are all in different stages of evolution. So maybe I'm totally over this aspect. So this can be in front of me and I can care less about it. This is not going to touch me. But Daniel, for example, he is fighting against that specific item. So we all have different temptations, if we can say, because we are all in different levels of evolution. So it's good for us to understand it.
Absolutely.
And recite to to surpass this is that in addition to watching, is necessary to pray, right? Watch and pray.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
work can be a prayer. So it's through blessing of work that we can forget the thoughts that disturb us, serving others, and reaching ourselves. So in that way, we'll be, acting according to the law, and also applying all the lessons that the deliverance from all evil, right, that Jesus brought us through the gospel.
Yes.
And the last sentence is so be it. So be it. So what means so be it?
So be it.
So be it is more or less like, and the best thing for myself to happen, the best thing for each one of you to happen. Because many times we think, oh, I need that job. Please, God, I need that job to be happy, to be fulfilled, to be whatever. But that job is not for you because it will bring so much animosity or whatever. So this is one thing we have to learn how to pray. Please, God, help that the best thing for me will happen. And I don't know if it's this job or maybe another job or
or no job at all, right? Oh, no job at all. So that sense, right, Angie, of resignation and awareness of our knowledge is infinitely small in relationship to the knowledge that exists, the divine knowledge. So be it. So be it, so that I resign to that will. And it's truly, to me, quite poetic to end the prayer like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have nothing to add. It's perfectly, perfectly summarized by you both. It's beautiful.
Yes, it's like when we reflect about every sentence, we can almost give a lecture of each sentence because there is so much to talk about. So I think we did a beautiful, beautiful summary. And I'm sure everyone that will be listening will have like the aha moment. Aha! Now I understand it better. So this was awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I thank you so much for Kardec, all the work, all the spirits who were like, illuminating Kardec for the words. Also May, where much of my words were from the book, from the research I did in the book from 1952.
Yes, beautiful analysis. Beautiful analysis. So, my friends, to you that are watching, now we are going to do the second book. This is What is Spiritism? It's a thin book, and it's beautiful. It's like a summary of the Spiritist codification. And the Kardec creates, like in the first portion of the book, like dialogues. So it's a dialogue that he has with a priest, with a thinker. He has a dialogue with many different people, the disbeliever. And so tonight we are going to be reading a little bit of it. And we are going to talk about the free thinker. So where we say AK is Allan Kardec answering, and the one that's asking tonight is the free thinker. So, Marcia, could you read free thinker? And then Daniel, you can start reading the answer of Kardec.
Let's do this. Yes. So, free thinker, you have proclaimed freedom of thought and conscience, and have declared that every sincere belief is respectable. Materialism is a belief like any other. Why shouldn't it enjoy the freedom you grant to all the others?
Wow, good question. So everyone is certainly free to believe as they please, or to believe in nothing at all. And we would no more excuse persecution against those who believe in nothingness after death than against a schismatic. Okay, sorry,
Schismatic.
Okay, thank you. From any religion. In combating materialism, we attack not individuals, but a doctrine which if harmless to society when confined to the conscience of educated people, turns into a social calamity if it becomes widespread. The belief that everything ends for a human being at death, that all solidarity ceases when physical life ceases, lead us to regard sacrificing our present welfare on behalf of someone else as pure nonsense. Hence the maxim, every man for himself because there is nothing after this life. In other words, charity, fraternity, and morality have no basis, no reason for being. Why inconvenience, restrain, and deprive ourselves today when tomorrow perhaps will be no more? The denial of the future and the mere doubt about the future life are the greatest stimulants of selfishness, the source of most of humankind's ills. A great deal of virtue is needed to keep us from falling into vice and crime, with no restraint other than our willpower. Human respect might restrain men and women of the world, but not those for whom the fear of public opinion is nil. Belief in the future life, demonstrating the continuation of relationships between individuals, establishes a solidarity that does not stop at the grave. Thus, it changes the course of ideas. If this belief were nothing but a man of straw, it would be temporary. But since its reality is a fact derived from experience, then in the interest of the social order, it is an obligation to spread it and strive against the opposite belief. This is what Spiritism does, and it does so with success because it provides proof and because people would surely prefer the certainty of the continuation of life and of being able to live happily on a better world as compensation for the miseries of this one, as opposed to believing in being dead forever. The thought of being erased from existence forever, of believing that their children and those there to them are lost with no possibility of coming back, puts a smile on a very small number of faces, believe me. That's why attacks against Spiritism in the name of disbelief have had such little success and have not weakened it for an instant.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daniel. And let's now try to do the same thing, Marcia. So let's go back to the answer of Kardec was long. So let's go back to the question. So the question from the free thinker is, you have proclaimed freedom of thought and conscience and had declared that every sincere belief is respectable. Materialism is a belief like any other. Why shouldn't it enjoy the freedom you grant to all others? So this free thinker is a materialistic person. So he's
sorry to interrupt, Angie, but he is questioning tolerance, right? So he says, "Hey, Kurt," and I love this book because it's the format by which Allan Kardec answers to those questions with such level of respect and rational thinking, right? But he's simply saying, if you're tolerant and you're saying that every thought, every ideology, everything requires to be tolerated, right? It is respectable. Why then you're saying, why shouldn't you also extend to materialism? So he does not answer yes or no, right? He answers what is to be a materialist versus what is not being a materialist, which is really well said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And for me, also the logic here is, okay, we agree on the freedom of thought. We agree that, you can have your opinion, but that doesn't mean that I cannot, be against your opinion in a meaning that I believe in something else and I have my arguments and I want to combat your opinion because maybe you are, in favor of war because you say war is good for evolution, makes the science, go faster and everything. But then I can, respect your opinion, but, have my arguments against it. And so that's why, it's totally plausible the answer of Kardec, because he's
Oh, yeah.
explaining this, in a
Yes.
beautiful way.
Yeah, no, I admire him so much because the way of explaining, of having these very tough conversations, and he's always very logic, and make anyone to think like, okay, you
Yes.
believe in that, it's fine. And we are not fighting individuals; we are fighting the doctrine. That's another thing that's always good that he always says to people. I'm not fighting with you, I'm fighting with your idea, for example. And he goes little by little explaining like how would be life if we didn't believe in the tomorrow. So we finish it. That's it. What
Sorry. Yes.
is that?
Yeah, so to me, Angie, sorry to interrupt you. I do apologize, but
No.
it's the question of bringing materialism. So what does it mean to be materialist only, right? And then he little by little deconstructs, if you will, the idea that nothing makes sense,
Yes.
right? World, life, living does not make sense if you only consider that materialistic view of the world. And
Yeah.
and it's very, as you mentioned, very rational, very paused, very there's a chain of details that he keeps giving, but always with respect to the other. He does not go as, oh, you don't believe like I do, therefore you're a bad person. No, you are
Exactly.
free thinker, entitled for your free thinking, right?
Yeah.
Your way of thinking. But let's look at it. Why is it that materialism in itself does not make sense?
Yes.
And
Exactly. Why do you think it's good?
yeah, exactly. And it's so good that as we learn about Spiritism, we can, be more and more, following this logic, and because it is a reason of faith, right? It is a reasoned faith. So we always have to follow logic and science. That's what Kardec says. So that's the beautiful of, this doctrine, the Spiritism, because it doesn't, it doesn't fight. It just show you, hey, take a look in this logic. Look,
Yes.
this is
Yeah.
what we believe. It's
Yeah.
being reasoned, right? And that's why I think it's so beautiful.
Let's read the next one because it's so tiny, so we can finish it. So let's go again. Daniel, now you are the priest.
Okay. So religion teaches all of that, and until now it has been sufficient. Why is there a need for a new doctrine?
That's right. So, Mr. Priest, if religion is sufficient, why are there so many disbelievers, religiously speaking? Is it true that religion teaches and tells us to believe, but there are so many people who do not believe in words alone? Spiritism proves and enables us to see what religion teaches through theory. Moreover, where do these proofs come from? From spirits' manifestations. Well, now, it is likely that spirits manifest only with God's permission. Thus, if God, out of divine mercy, sends this aid to people to draw them out of disbelief, can you move a little bit further, Angie? It would be impious to reject it, right?
That's
So,
very
yeah.
nice.
Yes.
That's really nice. It's almost like, okay, yes, all the religions are the theory, but
Yes.
we have the practice. We have the whys. We, with the mediumistic manifestations, the spirits come to tell us their mistakes and how they are going through it in the spiritual realm, what they are going through, the pain they are going through. So very nice, really.
Yeah.
And this is a good segue, sorry, Daniel, to Angie, to the next book, right? When we're you get ready to start studying heaven and hell,
Yes.
then that one paragraph that Allan Kardec talks about it is really emblematic of all those discussions that you'll see in that book.
Exactly, exactly. To the ones that have never read the book, there are so many different portions. The spirits come to tell how is their life in the spiritual realm, what they are going through. So it's very nice, beautiful. I love this book too. It's a very small but very concise. And if we do like this, if we pay attention to every single answer, it helps the ones who have a lot of knowledge in spiritism, but it also helps the ones who have no knowledge. So we can talk to anyone. Like someone comes and tells, but I don't believe it because of whatever. And you're like, no, let me tell you. So we do a little bit like Kardec style.
Yeah. I like it.
Very nice, my friends. It was awesome. It was awesome. I'm happy we were able to do 2 questions of this book. That was very, very good. Thank you so much for your time being here with us. It's really a pleasure to have us. Marcia, I see that you put Solitude Center. So did you open the center?
Yes. So, if I may, I just wanted to maybe give a plug. The center is maybe a month and a week old. So it's a baby, right? And what makes it unique is number one, while I live in Nashville, Angie, and all the administrative component is from Nashville, right, in the US. The founding members are spread all over the world. So we have founding
Wow.
members in Brazil, and in Germany, in China, in the US. So it's really a very large community,
Wow.
which makes it critical that we leverage all the platform that we're becoming quite good, right? This virtual platform. And finally, to wrap it up, is why solitude? It is
Yes.
because of in the age of 2 years plus of extreme isolation toward the pandemic, that sense of loneliness,
Yes.
right, and the depression, anxiety, are elements that we want to address via the psychological series of Joanna de Angelis and Spiritism, right? So we're looking to bring us all to the moment to become, attain a sense of solitude, which is healthy from an emotional perspective. So
Very
that's
nice.
what we do.
So it is
Wow.
happening online.
Online, yes.
Which day of the week? What time? How is it?
So thank you. So Sundays we meet at 7 o'clock, and we study Wake Up and Be Happy. It's a
Wait,
stream.
7 o'clock or each country?
Well, at Nashville, yes, I
Each
know.
time zone.
Yes, all of our discussions we have to put like 5 different time zones. So
Yes,
this
yes.
is 7:30. I'm sorry, 7 for me in Nashville. Then we also have on Saturdays we're doing public lectures. We've had Alberto Almeida, who kicked off. He did our kickstart, our grand opening, if we can call it that way. And just this past Saturday, we have a very well known professor from the Gestalt to talk about. He's not spiritist, but he is really bringing to us the ideas behind Gestalt and psychotherapy on this journey that we're going through. We do study. We do a prayer circle or irradiation, if you
Yeah.
call that, and we also have started the same book in Portuguese. Wake Up and Be Happy in Portuguese.
Wow.
We're about to get started a different book by Joanna de Angelis. So it's a series of lectures and study groups, but together really delving into that rich material that the psychological series brings to us.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. This
Thank
is
you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Congratulations.
That's as I always say, things come to us, but like there is always something good from a problem. And and this is one of the things, because of solitude, doing alone in the state that you were not familiar, you were able to mingle with other similar thought mind, and you're using an online platform to open a center. So this is wonderful. Very good. Congratulations.
And let me add some positive thoughts, because not only the birthday of your father, but also the birthday of Divaldo Franco. Your father is close by, but it's today, so it's connected with Joanna de Angelis and Solitude all today.
Yes, I love Divaldo Franco. Everybody that knows him, 95 years old, working, giving lectures, going to the Spiritist Center. Oh my God, this man is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I hope he will come back to US one more time.
I know. We hope so too.
We always like, please. My friends, thank you so much. It was wonderful. Marcia, would you like to do our final prayer, please?
I would do gladly. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
So I would like for all of us who are here in the live stream or later on to take this moment to simply close our eyes and breathe deeply, taking into this amazing feeling of connectedness, connection with the divine, connection with all of us who are here in a way praying. And as Jesus said, when two or more people are praying in his name, he is here. So may all of us feel the presence of our brother, of Jesus, enlightening us, making us more pliable, open, flexible to the understanding, the deeper meanings of our words, so that as we are praying, we're able to be very intentional. So thank you, dear Lord. Bless all of us who are here together. So be it.
So be it. Very good, very beautiful. Thank you so much, my friends. Thank you so much, Daniel. It was awesome having you with us. Marcia, always good. Congratulations again. This is another seed of light. That was good. That's really, really good. So thank you, and see you guys soon. Everybody, see you next month, the first Thursday of June. Mwah! Bye. Have a great night.
Great night, everyone. Bye.